Why bother meditating? What is that going to do for me? Sitting down trying to still this very, very inquisitive mind of mine? How am I going to still myself enough to listen to what? And what am I going to hear if I listen to it? Is it going to be a still small voice, or is it going to be a noisy something or other? I'm not sure. But I do know one thing. I'm willing to do that which is mine to do in order to tap the inner sources of my beingness. Now, you're hearing somebody speak 40 years later, but at the beginning of the trip, it was kind of one of these things. I tried it and it wasn't working. And my head was going louder than anything else. And the more I tried to meditate, the louder it got. And I finally had to say, I have to control my mind. I have to control my mind. And how to control your mind? That became the big issue within me. How do I silence myself long enough to listen to whatever I'm supposed to be listening to? If God's going to speak to me, I'm so busy in my head, He's never going to get through this constant bickering and talking to myself and putting myself down, or saying I'm not doing it well enough, or maybe if I did it this way, or maybe if I sat with my legs crossed, or maybe if I breathe. What is it that I have to do? Guess what I have to do? Nothing. Not a thing, except sit and just try my very best to be still. And so I found some little tools that I could use. And one of them was just to, every time a thought would come, I would let it get just so far and wouldn't take it to the end. And when I say a thought, I was planning my groceries while I was meditating. I was figuring out what I was going to wear to the PTA meeting, or what I was going to fix for breakfast or dinner for my children. I was doing all this fun stuff in my head when I was trying to meditate. Now, God's not going to get through to me at all, because I'm fixing dinner for tomorrow, you know? And so I had to stop back and say, no, I am not listening to that. And I had to put my foot down, consciously put my foot down to all the noise that was going on. And it took a while, but it's worth the while, because eventually it got quieter and quieter. And I started to feel strange when I wasn't listening to something, mostly me. I started to feel strange, because things were getting quieter. Things were getting eerie. I didn't have a thought for a whole minute and a half. I'm thinking, a minute and a half? Uh-oh. Then, pretty soon, I realized that something was happening to me. Something strange and beautiful. That I was beginning, even though I was so noisy, I still was beginning to feel a vibration, a lifting up, a new sense of myself I had never sensed before. And that was very exciting. And guess what? I thought I'd made it. I thought, oh, buddy, I've made it. I must be somebody wonderful, because I can do this, and I'm so good, and I was so proud of myself. I thought, well, I don't have to meditate anymore. I've got it down pat. Well, guess what? It didn't work that way. And after a few days of thinking I was wonderful, I had to go back to the beginning and start all over again, because the journey is being able to control it not once, but forever. You see, once you master meditation and you're still enough to listen to that still small voice inside of you, which is God speaking to you within you, what happens is a whole new world opens up to you. You are no longer limited to this little mindset of your own, but you have the knowledge of the universe pouring in and through you. That's what meditation is all about. Tapping onto that wonderful, wonderful universal consciousness, God computer. So this is how I got the God computer. This is what I did. I started to think about it and thinking about, okay, if I'm sitting here meditating and I'm tapping into the universal mind of God, wow, it's worth shutting myself up for. It's worth it. If I can tap that, it's worth the time I spend trying to be still. So I began to tap that universal consciousness up there. And then I got into my intuition. My intuition started moving. I started to understand things. My intellect started being quieted down, and my intuitive nature started coming in. And through that process, and it is a process that happens, I became more intuitive, able to intuit things more than think things through. Because our logical mind wants to pick things up and think things through. But our intuitive mind sees things broader. So once you get through your meditations, at the same time, your intuition starts opening up and you start to tap into the knowledge of the universe. Much more interesting than the knowledge of the everyday world. It got to be so fascinating and interesting to me. I loved to start my meditation. And I began my meditations at the beginning in 1967, I believe, and I had 4 children, and I had to get up at 5 in the morning and meditate. And because I had to have the time of quiet. And I did that for a long time before I started to hear the still small voice within me. It took a while. It didn't happen overnight. But it's there. And if it's there for me, it's the same voice that's there for you. There is no separation. How can it be for me and not for you? The more you understand who you are, the more you understand how much we're all one. And not only how much we're all one, how much the whole beingness, we are units of light and energy and force. And to stand upon that mountain and know that you're a positive energy in this world, and to be able to pick it up and use it for the good of humanity. If I'm a 10 and I can raise you to a 10, and then you go home and raise your family to a 10, we all are going to gain. We're all going to think about our life differently. We're all going to live our life differently. It's worth it. So meditation is number 1, the most important thing. Because if you tap the power of the universe and it starts to connect with you, then you start to tap the whole universal knowledge that's there. So the things I'm going to be talking to you later on today is about the knowledge of the universe and what can happen when you tap that magnificent energy field that's right here in this room. It's just being able to tap it. And what happens that once you are in that flow, you stay in that flow. You don't have ups and downs, but then there comes a time when you are just flowing with the energy of the universe. And when you're flowing with the energy of the universe, what happens is you make the right decisions, you do the right thing at the right time. There is no mistakes made. And if there is a mistake made, you understand what it is and what you need to do about it, like that fast. So, see, meditation, meditation, and meditation. So important. So, number 1, meditate. Tap the universal knowledge. It will help you change your consciousness at depth. One God experience can change everything you think. So I hope that each and every one of us have one of those God moments today. And that's my goal, because that's going to change you a lot more than if I talk for the next 4 hours. That's what's going to change you the most. But giving you a framework of reference. So when you have that experience, you also have the understanding and the ability to use what you are intuiting to the best interest of your soul and the souls around you, your family members. So this, once you start meditating, your family gets affected by it. Your business gets affected by it. Everybody you touch gets affected by your meditations, your depth of your beingness. Who you are is so loud, you don't have to say a word. Your life is your message. How you live your life is your message. How you see others and in love is your message to the world.